Now today I want to talk about potted trees, in particular trees. You can have large shrubs in there as well, even topiaries. But what I want to talk about is trees growing in a pot for an X amount of years and not being repotted. What could happen to them? Now this is an olive tree that I've got as a example here. This has been in this pot 3 years, maybe 4 approximately, and I'm trying to keep it small, and I have kept it small, but because it's confined, it really won't grow that big unless the roots push through the bottom and grab into the ground, and then the roots will take off and the tree will take off, and eventually the pot will crack open and it'll become a full-fledged tree again. So we need to monitor trees in pots, especially when they've been in it for a long time. And I'm sure many of you who have got potted plants or trees in pots or large shrubs will have experienced this. Now this tree I've been walking past a few times. You know, we live on the property. I do walk around sometimes, have a look around in the garden, that is. Now this one I noticed was actually yellowing off a lot previously. Now you can't see a lot of yellow leaves, there are a few there left, but this was extremely yellow in the middle. And why I say it was, because it's dropped them all off. You'll see all the leaves are gone. There's a big void in here, no foliage at all. Now you can say that these branches are older branches and they don't need to hold any leaves on them, but not these little ones here. See all this stuff there? All that's gone. All those leaves have fallen off here. By comparison, if you want to see, to the other one next to it here. This one here, you can see there's a lot more foliage in the middle. Yeah, a few yellow leaves, but not as many, but it's still holding all its leaves close to the base of where the stem grows. So that's a good sign that this one's breathing well. Now, what causes yellowing of the leaves? Well, the first and most obvious reason is too much water. Now, you can water your pot plants too much and it flushes through. What that's doing is basically washing through all the nutrients. Any nutrients that are available for the plant to draw up is getting washed through when you overwater too oftenly. Now, that's the first part. The second part to that is when the roots are bogged. That means when there's water sitting in the root system and they're not breathing anymore and the tree starts to suffer. And that's what's happened to this one. Now, what I did with this one when I first realized it, I actually tilted it over, and when I tried to do that, it had suckered to the ground. The roots had actually taken to the ground, so I had to put a bit of effort into it to tilt it over, and I'll do it now to show you what's going on. Apart from the colony of composters below, these roots were growing through into the ground. Now I just basically pulled them off by hand like that. When I ripped it out of the ground, there was a big clump there, ripped that off, but that's bogged the hole. Look at that. That's its drainage hole. This is the problem with pots generally. When you buy a pot from the garden centre, plastic pots have got holes around the sides here, all the way around, which is better drainage. Terracotta pots, ceramic pots, unglazed, are porous, but they still have one single drainage hole at the bottom there. Yes, it's good, it works, but it's never enough, especially for long term. Generally speaking, with pots like bonsais, you need to repot them on a regular basis. Now, it can be every 3 months, 6 months, every year if you need to, but you need to take them out. Unlike Vasily, he doesn't take his plants out of his pots, he lets them suffer, and they struggle until they're on the last leg of life before he actually comes out and does something. So what we're going to do now is salvage this olive tree. I'm going to try and pull it out of the pot. Now, I don't think I'm going to succeed on that one there. I'm going to give it a go. The only reason I know why I'm not going to succeed is because I've tried already. And what we're going to do is give you some alternative methods on how to salvage a plant without having to remove it. First things first, clean the base and create more drainage. Now I've got myself a drill bit here. It's only an 8mm or 10mm masonry bit. Ideally, you need a bigger one. I didn't find mine, I packed them up somewhere. You need at least a 15mm diameter, so you need something thicker than that, but this will help just for the purpose of the demonstration. What we're going to do is drill additional holes all the way around. Now, they don't have to be big, but at least 15mm is ideal. If you can't get that, well, do what I'm doing. Use an 8 or 10mm drill bit. That's one hole. It's not as wet as it was before anymore because I did pop it out of the ground and most of the moisture's drained out. But nevertheless, we're going to do this because otherwise it's going to block up again. And lucky last one. Don't freak out, folks. It's fun. I'm drilling into the root system, actually severed off a lot of those roots down below. It's not going to hurt the plant one iota. It's actually going to help the plant because we're going to stimulate new root growth. Now, it doesn't stop there. So we've got 4 additional holes. Put as many holes as you like, depending on the size of your planter. And remember, they still can block up. You're just giving it a better chance to drain out and not become waterlogged. You can see down here that we had some seaside daisies, even these curled over and died from all the water sitting in here. So let's just clean this up and I'll show you what else we've got to do. So first we've got to cut it all back and clean it up. I'm going to take some of the inner facing branches off like that and just take the tips off. I really don't want it to grow much taller, and everybody to their own preference. Choose how high you want to grow it. I don't want it to be much taller than this. I just want it to thicken up and in fact bush out a bit more, become a little bit wider. So I've got to take more of the inside growth out of here to create that open vase shape. Not a lot at the end of the day. Some tip prunes, and that will still stimulate more growth on it, folks. It'll shock the plant into thinking, hey, what's going on here? I'm losing some of my branches and leaves here. I need more sunlight, and it'll end up growing a bit more. So just something like that is all you need to do, and depending on how severe or bad the tree is or shrub that you've got growing in there. And the suckers as well. We've got a sucker down here on the side of the trunk, which is part of the main plant, but this is the root system. That's taken off because it's trying to survive, and it's pushing up its own little plant from the roots directly and avoid feeding the rest of the plant on top here. Now we've done that. Let's see if we can pull it out, eh? You want to see how hard these are? Well, they're bloody impossible if you ask me, but we'll give it a go. Always tip it on its side. Do not try and lift it up out of the pot while it's sitting upright. Now, if it was a plastic pot, the best part about this is you squash the plastic a little bit like this, roll it around and squash it down. That will loosen up the roots and stop it from suckering on the inside of the pot wall. In this case, I can't do that, so 1 foot on the pot and one on here, and you want to put that camera down, give me a hand. Not going to come out. I nearly swallowed my tongue. So what's the alternative? This little baby here. This is an auger bit. It's only a 10 or 12 mil diameter. If you can get a bigger one, great, but they're a little bit expensive, but you got it for life. Now this is normally to drill into wood, you know, drill big holes into the wood, and you go at a slow pace. You don't go fast like a normal drill bit, you take your time slowly. Now what we're going to do with this here, folks, is not going to drill into the dry, dead wood, timber that is. We're going to drill into existing live wood root system. We're going to drill straight down and we're going to punch our holes through the roots. Now I'm aiming and hoping that I actually cut off some of the roots in this plan. Now I've got it on hammer. One hole. I love this part. Right down to the bottom if you can get, that's the best thing you can do. Now what happens here? Some of the roots get cut off and the part that gets cut off ends up dying, drying out, decomposing, and what happens to that then? Well, it becomes a food source for the microbes in the soil, providing it's alive and not dirt. So you try and drill as many holes as you can into the pot, and I learned this trick from Ted Poynton. He used to run Williams Nursery many years ago. Well, 20 years ago, in fact, when I was doing SBS gardening show. And I was at his place, and he's got thousands of bonsais, literally thousands of bonsais in his garden. And for him to repot them, because with bonsais you cut the root system down, you trim the top and you keep it small. It's a tree in the pot, that's what bonsai is, and it's a small tree. So what we're doing here in essence is bonsaiing this tree by cutting off some of the roots. The more you drill, the more roots you cut off. Now he did it this way because he did not have physical hours to be able to go out and trim every single little bonsai, or large ones if he had, whatever he had. So he came up with this device to drill holes into the root system, cut off the roots. Works in a similar way as just taking the plant out of the pot. Oh yeah, I hit some roots there. Felt that. Oh, that's good. And when you cut the roots off, they decompose, they become food source, and where it's been cut off, well, the plant starts to push on new roots, new feeder roots. And that way, you're giving the plant a new burst of life, you're aerating the soil, and you're creating more life in the soil by doing that. There you go. I've done, I don't know, 10, 12, 15 holes. Oh yeah. Did you hear that? Da, 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 da. Shooing into it. One more. Okay, right to the bottom. Now once you've done that, folks, you need to get yourself some of this stuff here. This is our superfood, our fine grade, really nice, a beautiful natural fertilizer made by our larvae, soldier fly, and we just sprinkle some over each hole. Oh, it's falling in. Beautiful. That's what you want. When you feed it down below, you're filling it up with good organic food for the microbes. Like that. You won't burn the plant, don't worry about that. That's if you're using superfood like this stuff here, that won't burn it. And it has to be organic. Don't go be putting synthetic fertilizer down in those holes. All you're going to do is cook the plant literally overnight. Then you'll be ringing me up or emailing me and telling me off because you killed the plant. And remember to give it a water as soon as you finish fertilizing it. Like this, just to activate it all. Let's see how the water goes now. See the holes? How it's sinking down into the holes? I'm not sure if you can see it, but I just spotted it. That one there's still working. Still can take a little bit more water. That will get the moisture down below where it needs it, but it's still going to have the porosity because it's a hole. It breathes. Now, once you've done that, folks, make sure to top dress it with a good quality planting mix, and you know we've got ours. That's superb for this. I'm going to do that after that. Or otherwise get a compost, a bag of compost and a little bit of straw on top as well. It's always important to do that. Now folks, this is a suggestion or idea for you guys out there who have got pot plants that have got big plants in them that have been there for years and starting to look for a lot worse. This is a way of treating that and repotting it without actually physically taking it out of the pot. You may not like the idea because of the drilling and all the things that go on there, but that's your choice. You can't sit there and try and pull it out of the pot. Otherwise, if you've got a big plant and you want it to grow bigger, because I want to keep mine small, remember to get a bigger pot. Make sure it's big and always transplant it every year or 2 years, at least. Otherwise, it'll suck it to the ground and you're gonna have to spend a lot of time looking after it. For me, this works a treat. We'll come back in a few weeks or months and see how it's going. Check out our website, vasilisgarden.com. From me, Vasily, Maresi.